Hello everyone, welcome to the Rift. Today we're going to be talking about this guy right here, Yasuo. I've been playing this deck a bit, just casually with people at locals and with some friends, and I thought it would be a good idea to just talk about how the deck plays, what it does, what kinds of cards it wants to run. I'm going to go through all of the cards in the deck first, and then talk about why I'm playing them, what they do for the deck, and explain the deck's overall game plan and kind of how I play it. Because I think doing things in that order is going to make a bit more sense. But first, if you're enjoying the content, then make sure that you like the video and feel free to smash that subscribe button. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, I have a link to my Patreon in the video description. Also, I have channel memberships now. They're just $1 and you get these nice badges next to your name whenever you comment or chat in live streams. Thank you to everybody who supports the channel, even just by watching videos. I really appreciate it. Alright, back to the video. First off, I'm playing one copy of Green Yasuo for our chosen champ. I am not playing Purple Guy in this deck, at least not in 1v1. I think he's better in multiplayer because you need an actual win condition in that format. It's harder to score all 3 battlefields in that format, so this guy actually does help us close out games with his effect in free-for-all. But for 1v1, I would just stick to green. I don't play this guy anywhere in the deck. He just doesn't really fit with what the deck wants to do and how it plays. For our units, I've got our turn 1 plays. I've got 3 Wielder of Water and 3 Sunlit Guardian. You're going to go second with this deck. You're going to drop one of these guys down turn 1 and then react to whatever your opponent's going to want to do from there. We have a couple other turn 1 plays in the deck that are fine. I'll get to them later. For our mid-game units, I've got 3 Sona and 3 Kayn. I really just wanted to max out on these guys to see them consistently. I really like having Sona in this deck. She gives us a lot of extra energy and flexibility, so we can develop our board and hold up energy as we pass the turn, which is amazing for this deck. And Kayn, he's really good at clearing stuff. This is our main way of actually taking control of the board state. If your opponent's going to leave any units on their fields while this guy's in your base, he's probably just going to clear both fields. And for our top end units, I've got 2 Mind Splitter and 2 Tasty Fae Folk. I really want to bump this up to 3, but I really don't know what to cut in the deck. Mind Splitter is just such a good card. 2 might be enough, but yeah, he's just so amazing in this current format. You can take Auroras with him, you can take Thousand-Tailed Watcher, Darius, all that stuff. Super good into Kaisa, super good into Aurora. Good into Yi as well, the non-Aurora builds, because you can just take any of their big plays away from them. Overall, yeah, just an amazing card. And then Fae Folk is okay. He's pretty good at like just holding onto a field. He's a decent 6-might body. You can accelerate him sometimes, but yeah, I don't think he's as good as Mind Splitter. Just a nice value play. Your opponent kind of has to deal with him, and when they do, you get some stuff back. Those are all of the units in the deck. There's really not that many, but for me at least, it feels like there's enough. Maybe even slightly too many units, but we'll have to see. For our spells, we've got our consistency pieces, just our draw spells, 3 stack deck. This card's really good. Probably just shove 3 of it into every purple deck. 3 Find Your Center for kind of a backup turn 1 play. It's pretty nice to just play this and then play a Kayn next turn. That's a pretty solid play. Most of the time I'd prefer seeing a 3-drop, but we really don't have any better 3-drops to play right now as far as units go, so kind of just have to play this. For our interaction, that is going to be the rest of this deck. It is full of interactive spells and stuff. We've got 3 Discipline and 3 On Guard, just the basic pump spells. I'm pretty sure like every green deck right now is going to be playing these cards, especially with Kaisa in the format. They help you actually save your units when they're trying to kill them. More ways to save our units. We've got 3 copies of Defy and 3 copies of Zhonya's. Yeah, we really don't want our units dying in this deck because we don't have that many. Defy is just an all-around amazing spell to have. 1 energy, counter something is incredible. And Zhonya's 2 energy, no power, just save a unit. Usually I'm not hiding this at a battlefield because I don't really want to pay the power. Or you can if you need to. And for our last pieces of interaction, I've got 3 Fight or Flight and 2 Ride the Wind. Fight or Flight is a pretty versatile card. You can push something back to take points if you need to do that, or prevent an attack to stop your opponent from winning, or just running something important over. It can also be used to dodge spells like Void Seeker, only if you're playing it hidden though. You just pull your unit back to base face to save it from the damage. Yeah, very versatile card, pretty cheap for what it does at 2 energy or a power, really nice. Especially with stuff like 1000-Tailed Watcher in the format, you can stop a super aggressive push when your opponent's at 6 points, prevent them from winning the game. Great into Aurora decks too, because it just pushes a guy out of the way or stops an attack. And Ride the Wind is really nice in combo with some of our cards in this deck, like Kane, it's amazing with him, really good with green Yasuo, even with Mind Splitter it's pretty nice. Even early game, if your opponent overcommits to battlefields, you can clean them up with something like a Wielder of Water, which is really nice. Pretty cool to be able to always threaten to be able to do something like that. Your opponent kind of has to play around that or risk getting blown out. And yeah, obviously winning with this card is also really nice. For our runes, I'm currently playing 7 greens and 5 purples. I think that's a pretty nice split. You pay slightly more green in this deck, but it doesn't really matter that much. All your big purple stuff is late game, so yeah, runes being a problem really shouldn't come up in this deck. And for our sideboard, I've got 2 Adaptatron. It's good into Aurora. If you're at 6, you can play this and move it with Yasuo to blow up the Aurora immediately, so you can deal with it straight from your hand, which is nice. To Rebuke, which also helps against Aurora, just pushes the guy back to hand, pretty nice. Gust is nice into stuff like Annie that are just super aggro and can take points way too fast for us to deal with, so this is nice into decks like those. I've got 2 Charm as well, which is really good into decks that want to hold, so like Master Yi, the non-Aurora build, Ari, Teemo, and this deck as well. So I'd be careful about doing this against green because they have spells like Discipline and On Guard, so make sure this is a safe play when you're trying to do that. All right, now I'm going to talk about fields and the general game plan and strategy with this deck. So if you haven't already guessed, we want to go second with this deck really bad. We built the whole deck around that, and we're kind of playing a more reactive strategy, more towards the control and mid-range side of things. We're definitely not aggressive at all. We're a pretty slow deck, and basically we just want to establish some board while holding onto a field and trading positively into our opponent's stuff. How we win with this deck is we essentially try and set up a game state where our opponent is incapable of taking the 8th point. We just want to control the board and control our opponent to the point where they can no longer really win the game, so we kind of just win by default, usually through just like holding a field or Ride the Wind or ganking with Kane, stuff like that. So for our battlefields, we basically just pick battlefields that we want to sit on for most of the game. So Grove, we want to sit on that to draw. Dreaming Tree, we want to sit on this to draw. Windswept, we want to sit on this to also threaten the other field while holding this one. Our basic gameplay pattern is to just go second and play something like a Wielder down onto the field, so that if our opponent develops like a 2-drop turn 1, they now have the choice of sitting there and doing nothing or sending the unit to a field to take a point, where most likely we will just untap and run it over on our turn. And in doing so, we have just taken a card away from them essentially. And from this position, you'll have 5 energy, so you can do stuff like develop another unit into your base, or play Zondias into your base, wayfind your center, play stack deck, and then just hold up a couple of runes so that your opponent really doesn't want to attack into you for fear of like getting blown out and stuff. Because if they don't have a good way of dealing with your unit on the field that it's sitting on, they have to risk going into combat with it, and your units are going to be at 4 might on defense, and you have a bunch of stuff to back them up with, so they're really not going to kill him realistically. And even if they do kill him, a lot of the time you'll be trading positively, or at least even, and then next turn you'll untap and be at 7 energy, most likely, maybe 6 if you've played a Defy or something, and you can just go ahead and maybe threaten a counterattack, maybe play down a Mind Splitter in base to just try and take something good out of their hand. You have a lot of options. You could also just ignore the field they're holding and go to the other one, then take anything that threatens this play out of their hand. They're probably not going to be able to break this field unless they drop pretty well, and then next turn you can just untap, move this guy to base, and then Legend Effect to move it to threaten the other field while you still have a bunch of energy up. Yeah, basically with this deck you just play reactively and conservatively and try and just counter whatever your opponent's trying to do and put them into awkward situations. It's a lot easier said than done, and there are definitely a lot of weaknesses with this deck. If you ever lose control of the board, or your opponent gets a winning board state against you, it can be hard to come back from that sometimes. Our units aren't the most durable thing ever, particularly Wielder. Even if you give him +2, he's still at 4, so he still dies to something like a Void Seeker. Obviously, if we don't have access to Mind Splitter and can't look at our opponent's hand, we can be at risk of getting blown out by something like Thousand-Tailed Watcher or Darius and just losing control of our fields, which is why I really want to try playing 3 of this guy to avoid situations like that. Yeah, it's a very interesting deck. It's a very different deck than something like Kaisa that's pretty aggressive. As far as matchups for this deck go, I really don't have much of an idea. It's probably pretty good into Aurora, as you have stuff like this and ways of dealing with that card in the side. It might be okay into Kaisa because you have so many counters for their spells and stuff. Green is just pretty good at not dying and saving your units in general. Yeah, I don't know. This deck is interesting. It could be pretty decent. It could also just get its units killed too often and not really be able to execute its game plan. This game is so fast and so point-based, like tempo-based. Like if you're too far behind on points, you probably just lose. It's really hard to come back from a big points deficit in this game. Your opponent can just go to 6, develop a bunch of stuff in base for a push, and then swing with like a Watcher or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting deck. Could be decent, could be just pretty bad, but who knows. It's also a pretty cheap deck. There's no epics at all in the deck, so that's nice. I wouldn't really bother playing any of them. I don't think Purple Yasuo fits in this deck, and I don't really like the signature spell. It's kind of just an overcosted removal spell. I'd rather just play Charm, honestly. Yeah, I think this deck is super fun, and it's pretty cheap too, so go ahead and give it a try. I think you'll enjoy a deck like this a lot if you like to play a more reactionary style. Just sit back and wait for your opponent to do stuff and then counter what they're trying to do. Alright, I think that's about all I wanted to cover today. I've been having a ton of fun playing the game so far and opening packs and stuff. Let me know what decks you guys have been playing and how it's been going for you. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Take care.